Good evening, everyone. This is Ruben Escalona, aka the Roopster, with another live episode of Behind the X's and O's. We're getting started a few minutes early. We want to be on time with these things, just to kind of get the wheels turning, break the ice. Hopefully, I can find my rhythm before our guest for the evening comes in. And so I just wanted to get started, just make sure that we give everybody time to be able to log in. Hopefully, if you're following us on YouTube or on our Facebook business page, you have already found your way to the one of the three posts that I made today to promote the show today. We included the audience link, which is the Riverside audience link. And if you click on that link, it'll take you, if you're on your phone, iPhone or Android, it'll take you to the Riverside app that you have to download. And then once you download, you're automatically, in the live audience. Same thing for your computer. Just kind of follow the steps and download the app, so that way, if you guys have any questions, you can send them to our chat. My lovely wife and partner in crime, she is the producer once again, and so she's going to be monitoring the chat and doing the behind the scenes of the behind the X's and O's. Uh, there's levels and layers to this process, but so she's not going to be in camera on this one right here, but she is here always by my side. She cannot escape me. She's attached to my hip. She is my rib, and it doesn't matter what you say. But so I'm excited. That was her that hit the laughing. So if I'm funny, she's gonna let me know. If I'm hopefully there's not a womp 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 womp. But she has free reign to be able to react any way that she wants to, and then we'll talk about it later. But we're excited about tonight's show. We have a special guest lined up, and Mr. Andre Gwinn from the Salvation Army, Gwinn Sr. I'm sorry, from the Salvation Army. He is going to grace us with his presence once again, and we're going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and I know it's near and dear to Mr. Gwynn's heart. It is the topic of building bridges, the importance of building bridges in your community. It's something that if you follow, Andre, you know that he's all about connecting people to each other, and so we want to talk a little bit about how important it is to doing this type of work, building bridges, right? It's something that I we're called in different ways, right? If you believe in that, that there's a purpose, there's a plan for everybody's life. There's a calling for everybody, and I remember, I don't know, it was years ago, whenever I was trying to find what what my calling was. There he is, right there. Did you let him in? Okay. Hey, Andre.
What's going on?
Oh, not too much, man. I wasn't sure how I was going to let you in or not. I guess it just automatically did it, huh?
Yeah, I just pushed the join button and it joined me.
Okay. Okay. I get maybe because you were already in, or I don't know. Normally it says, the person, the guest is trying to enter the chat, and then I
uh,
have to hit invite. But I guess you just got the keys to the studio, man. So we just come and go as you please, I guess.
there's some people in the community of Abilene. They called me Mr. Abilene. So
Oh, Mr. Abilene. All right. That sounds good. Well, so I was just, I was kind of talking about the topic of, for the show tonight, and I know it's a topic that's near and dear to your heart, and it's one that over the years it has been near and dear, and it's something that I just can't seem to get away from. It's the topic of building bridges, right? Um,
absolutely.
our business, both of our business, but our business in particular. we don't have a business if we don't develop relationships with our customers in our community.
Percent.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's something to where whether it's important to me or not, you know, uh, we have to just be conscious of that. With the products and service that we're putting in, is we want to do it in a way to where, like we're not trying to to draw any lines or make any divisions in the services that we offer. We'll print for just about anybody, right?
Yeah.
Whenever we first started started business, we had, because we were involved in the church, and we were, there was some certain things, requests that we would get that, it was kind of like questionable. And um and so my wife and I, we would have conversations about it. It's like, what do you think? And I never really had much of an issue because I tried to take that part, out of it, because I thought that it was, through the services that we offer, we have an opportunity to connect with this person, on a human level, and just let the transaction be the transaction. As long as, I don't know, I guess there are some lines that we would draw, but for the most part, we're trying to make sure that we, let everybody feel welcome when it comes to doing business with us. And I know, just because, I'm conservative, and I was raised in the church and those kind of things, and it automatically puts me, like, if I don't say that, I think some people will say, well, he's probably not going to be able to, sponsor a banner for our event or something like that, and that's just not the case. And so this is why I wanted to have these types of conversations, because, there might be some people tuning in or scrolling, and they want to say, oh, they're talking about building bridges. Let's see what they're talking about. See what type of bridges that they're talking about in the first place, and see how I might be involved in something like that. But I gave a small introduction, but I wanted to, like, just give you an opportunity to introduce yourself again. Uh, you know, I made the correction on the flyer. You are the development manager at the Salvation Army,
Yes,
um,
sir.
and you are an active member of the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, sir.
And so I wanted to talk a little bit about both of those things, because I don't know anything about what a development manager does for the Salvation Army. I've seen your work, and so I could probably figure it out. But I wanted to hear it from you, so that way anyone who might be tuning in, they can kind of get a better understanding of what it is that you do for the Salvation Army.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been at the Salvation Army of Abilene going on 2 years. I'm working on my third year now at the Salvation Army, and I've come to understand that my position pretty much is a catch-all. So whatever our caseworkers don't do and whatever our commanding officers don't do, that's what I do. So that's anywhere from grant writing to event coordinating to organizing volunteers or connecting with you guys when we need some more signage on our storefronts or on our admin building. It's like flour. It's multi-purpose what I do.
Wow. So yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I guess, if I just pay more attention, I mean, all of the things that you included me in, you invited me to dinners and to fundraisers, and the different print stuff that you need. I mean, it just pretty much captures all that. And but yeah, I mean, I mean, are you the only development manager, or are there other development managers?
Yeah, so I mean, I have colleagues and people that facilitate the same things that I do for other corps across the state of Texas and across the United States. The Salvation Army is an international nonprofit agency, so we're in the Philippines, we're in England, we're in Germany, we're all over the place. But with that position, it may come different titles, but we all pretty much facilitate the same functions. So, we have a core that's south of us in San Angelo in the Concho Valley. Uh, she does a lot of the same things I do, but she does it for the Concho Valley, Tom Green County. Me here, I do everything I can for the county, for Taylor County and also the surrounding counties, and that extends all the way to up to Sweetwater to Anson Jones. down to Tuscola, Gymnet area, just pretty much anything that touches the borders of Taylor County. Um, and in that position, in the 2 years that I've been in that position, I've grown to understand it's a faith sorry, faith-based organization. We're a church first, so I have the privilege and the luxury of having access to pastors as bosses, 24 hours a day, while I'm at work, while I'm at home. If I need to be prayed on, and if I need to confide in someone, it's fantastic to have that as an outlet. But also, it being in that same vein, I've grown to understand that if you want to be successful in the city of Abilene, there's a lot of your own personal beliefs, your own personal political takes, your personal things that you have to set aside, and you find the commonality with other colleagues and community members to build those bridges, like you were saying. I think to me, that's one of the most important things that I've learned in my rise in my career field here in the city of.
Yeah. And that to me is really important because, you know, you may, there may be people that are building bridges, the type of bridges that I'm talking about is a bridge to where I don't have to think like you necessarily. I don't have to vote like you. I don't have to look like you. I don't have to have the same education that you have. The upbringing and maybe the financial status. All of the different things that people use. In our society to kind of categorize people, and
Yeah.
so the bridges that I mean, I kind of left it vague because it's like a bridge is different to just depends on who you ask. What
Hmm.
does it mean to build a bridge? But in order, especially in this day and age, in my opinion, in order for us to get to a point to where we are looking out for each other as a community, you're right. We have to, at least for the moment, set aside those personal beliefs. It doesn't mean that you have to abandon, what you believe in, or it doesn't, you're not turning your back towards it or anything like that. But I love it whenever someone can look at me and just see a person,
Yes.
and not let what they see, visually, like make up their mind on who I am. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to have a relationship with people to where their perception is based on me. On my track record, on my word, on those kind of things. Reputation, and not necessarily because I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. And or I don't have the education that they would look for. One of the things that I had the privilege to serve in several years ago, it was a program called Ad for Next, and so it was a program where we helped underprivileged kids find ways to get into school. It was first generation college students that were looking to get some scholarships, and my wife and I, my wife more than me, but we would participate in helping them fill out their paperwork, to get financial aid, and just kind of connecting with them and sharing our story as business owners. And we would go to the schools and talk to these kids, and they were some of them were aspiring entrepreneurs, and so it was something that I had the privilege to do. And it was kind of like, even long before that, I was working in ministry, and I saw the just the I guess the opportunity to be able to talk to people that were outside of our congregation, and maybe on the other side of the spectrum when it comes to our political beliefs. But it was a good way to make connections, and
Yeah, and
so I felt privileged for that.
I feel like right now, in the state of the United States and where we're at as adults, we're the new leadership that has stepped into the roles that our elders have provided for us.
Mhm.
I think it's important to understand the moment you decide to be a community leader or a small or a business owner, they say, heavy is the crown. So it's important when you decide to make those steps or that change in your life that you have to be careful with taking a position on something, whether it be politics or religion. If you're a business owner or an executive director or a development manager, you have to understand that when you decide to publicly, what you say and do behind closed doors, that's up to you. That's your own personal lifestyle. But when at front facing towards the community, when you decide to take a position, I've seen businesses go belly up first
Yeah.
because they were doing good. Something happened, and under the business name, they decided to take a position, and that position might have not been necessarily the popular position. Whether they felt right or wrong, or had the conviction to make that choice, I think we as leaders in our community and business owners in our community, it's important. Like, it's okay to take positions, but you have to be very mindful of the people that you alienate when you take those positions. I know for me, in order for me to have success in the community that I love to serve in the city of Abilene, I have my beliefs, I have my political beliefs, I have my religious beliefs. Uh, my girlfriend knows there is as strong and as potent as anything else out there. But that those are conversations I have behind closed doors. Now I stand on what I believe in my personal life. It's when you decide to take a public position on those certain things that you have to be careful of, because once again it goes back to building and burning bridges. As a business owner, you want to be successful. In order to be successful, sometimes you have to take personal out of it and just maintain the business. And that's the same thing with being in a leadership position in a nonprofit agency or for the city or anything like that. You have to recognize that if you're serving the community, the most important thing to always put first and on the forefront is the things that make us the same, instead of looking for the things that individualizes all of us. I look for the common thread of things of humanity and the people I serve before I start looking for what makes us different, whether it's politics, beliefs, skin color, background, education, all these things that puts us in different boxes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a thing to where there's an old school, I guess, mentality about people who are trying to build bridges, right? That I've heard that they say, I don't even see color, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I subscribe to that because I own a print shop, and I believe that all the colors are important to be able
It
to
would be of
produce.
great concern if you said you don't see color.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and so as I was actually thinking about that. It's like I was thinking about that exactly. I was like, I don't think that I can sit there and say I don't see color because it's just
Yes.
not true. It's just not true. But I know, like I can't judge the color by itself
Hmm.
because if whenever we're printing, a lot of times, like we have a printer that's a CMYK printer, which you know how that is, and then in design there's RGB, right? And so you
Yeah.
got in RGB, you got three different colors that whenever you certain percentages that you mix them together, and you can
Hmm.
make just about any color. Same thing with CMYK, you can make all the colors you can imagine by putting them
Hmm.
together. But if you just print each individual color by itself, it's just that color, right? And I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with that, but man, have you seen how beautiful colors can be whenever you put them
Exactly.
together, and
Exactly.
and it only works whenever you understand like which colors can help you know like accent the main subject in this particular print. Sometimes you need to put an outline you know behind the lettering so that way you can have the contrast that you
Yeah.
need to be able to accomplish what you're trying to do with that particular print, right? Sometimes it's a white outline, sometimes it's a black outline. It
Hmm.
just it just varies. It just depends on what that particular print is supposed to do. And so I'm not saying that I am against the idea of not seeing color. I get what people are trying to say, but to me, I think it's a lot. I don't know. I think what I'm striving to do is to be able to see you exactly as you are, but not
Hmm.
let that influence what I think. Right?
Yeah.
And
I,
and
yeah.
go
It's
ahead.
the same thing if I have a 95 Honda Civic and
Hmm.
someone pulls up at a car meet with a 2026 Corvette.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't see brands and models. I just see a car that has four wheels just like mine.
Yeah.
That's not reality. That's not reality for which we live in. That man is driving a Corvette and I'm driving a Honda Civic. It is what it is. You can appreciate your Honda Civic while still appreciating that man's Corvette, but just still recognize that those are totally different make and models. They're totally different colors. They're totally different performance wise, and that's okay. And for a country, like the United States, that our main thread is that we are a melting pot. We have all kinds of races, ethnicities, cultures, backgrounds that make America great. Uh, it is a shortcoming, and I feel like a failure for actual patriotic Americans to say, I don't see color. Because if you say that, then I don't see you. I don't see who you are. I don't see your struggles. I don't see your culture. I don't see your ethnicity. I don't see the background from which you came from, the struggles that are ahead of you. For me, I enter spaces where there's not a whole lot of people my color. I don't have a choice but to see color. But I also recognize and appreciate that I'm able to have access to these type of things that lack representation or wasn't there until I got there. So, I think it's very important that we don't overlook and we don't not see color. I think that is selfish and just upholds these foundations and these tenets of, if I just close my eyes to oppression and racism and prejudice and all the things, and if we just stop talking about it all, then it'll go away. When in fact that's not how cancer works. And that's a lot of the issue with how we address that and have that conversation when it comes to ethnicity, race, and culture is when you get diagnosed with cancer, you can't say, oh, if we can just, ignore it, don't look at it, don't pay it any attention, don't go online and look anything up about it. If we just stop talking about the cancer, it'll just go away. That's not reality. So it's important that we do see color.
Yeah. Yeah. So my first, I guess, introduction to the whole idea of a melting pot was whenever I was in the army. So I was stationed. I was a young kid, 19 years old. I was stationed. My first duty station was out in California, Fort Irwin, California, and it was I'm a Texas kid, right? I was born and raised in Abilene, and so it's weird. It's weird. A side note is no one ever said that they were from the small city. Everybody was from Dallas or Fort Worth or Houston. If you're from Texas, right? And I was from Arlington, and so, but I said I was from Dallas, and everybody was like, "Man, no one's from a small city," so I'm just gonna say I'm from Dallas, right? And
Yeah.
but if you're from Texas, everybody knows it, and they're like, I got made fun of because of my Texas accent, and I'm like, I never knew I had an accent, and then I think it changed when I moved to Abilene because I was talking a certain way in Austin because just when you're around certain people, you start to talk like them and laugh like them, and then when I came over here, I guess I talk a little slower, my draw's a little bit longer, those kind of things, but whenever I was in the army is where I first got the idea of what a melting pot was because I was, everybody that I used to hang out with the exception of maybe one or two people, all looked like me and all looked
Hmm.
like you, right?
Yeah.
I grew up on Congress Street over here in Abilene, on Congress Street and North Ninth and Capitol, and you know, I kid you not, my first you know white friend was maybe in middle school, getting ready to go into high school, and it was just we were all. I mean, everybody was, we're either black or Mexican,
Yeah.
and that's just the way it was, and that seemed normal to me. But then whenever I go into the army, I was like seeing people from all over. It
Yeah.
was like I was seeing a bigger, like there was a bigger world, and people don't think the same way that you do, and it doesn't mean that you're bad or they're bad, but it's just different. They were raised different,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
and it was like, but I was interested in that. I was like, this is pretty cool, man, because it's like, uh, it's just a different way of looking at things. And then I went into I got stationed at Fort Hood, and I've always liked to write like poems and little short stories, if you want to call it, ever since I was young. And so I had like a little notebook of poems that I wrote ever since I was like, gosh, 18, 19 years old. And a couple of them were about what I was going through
Hmm.
there at my first duty station in California. I saw a lot of things that just not things that you want to see as a young Hispanic kid. You know what I mean? And it was my rank wasn't where it needed to be to where I can make any type of change or anything like that, and
Hmm.
I wasn't mature enough to really know how to process all of those emotions, right? So I kind of wrote them down, and a lot of it was kind of like, a lot of it was hateful. A lot of it was
Hmm.
like really just putting out my emotions, on paper. And but I had the opportunity to take that, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try to write a book. So I'm 19 years old, 20 years old, thinking that I want to write a book. And so I had submitted a poem to Lowrider magazine, and so it was good, but it never got published. And I always had a chip on my shoulder, mind you. And so I'm like, wait a minute, how come this thing? I said, I'm buying your thing all the time, and I'm looking and it's not there. I said, this is good. I've read some of your other stuff, and it's not as good as mine. And of course I'm biased, right? But
Yeah.
I call Lowrider magazine, and then they refer me to a gentleman out in Austin, where I was living at the point. And then he was a local art author. He owned a bookstore, and all of that. And then so I go up to introduce myself to him. I was like, hey, this is who I am, and I wanted to connect with you because the folks at Lowrider Magazine said that you'd be a good person to talk to kind of help me like figure out how to write my own book, right? And so the first thing that he did, he was an older man at that time, and probably about my age now, right? But of course, I was 20 years old, and so that he was an old man, to me back then. And so he says, the first thing you need to do is pay your dues, is what he said. And I was
Hmm.
like, what do you mean? And he went and he grabbed the book, right? And it was like I don't know, 50, 100-year history of Hispanics, Mexican Americans, and all of that. He says you got
Hmm.
to pay your dues. He says, and I know it's kind of cliche now, but back then this was different thinking. He said before you
Yeah.
know where you're going, you have to know where you came from,
Hmm.
right? And so I was kind of like I didn't know how to process that. Again, I had a chip on my shoulder. I felt like I was a good person. I just wanted to write a book, and here this guy is telling me that I got to pay my dues and learn where I came from. But it was the first time that I actually looked into our history and a lot of the struggle that the people before me, including my parents and my grandparents, had to go through so that I can have the freedom to be able to go up to a guy and say, "Hey, I'm looking to write a book," right?
Yep.
And a lot of
Yep.
people had to pay a high price for me to have that freedom, right? And so it was the first time that I had, that kind of opened up my eyes, and from then, I was like, I need to talk to people and get their perspective, like old people and people who have been through it. Because, like, maybe if somebody, if you run into anybody who kind of grew up with me from, especially from here from Abilene, man, I was like interviewing some of their parents and grandparents. I was like, hey, tell me a little bit about how it was, back in the days. And I said because I experienced it a little bit, but I'm hearing that it was a lot worse back in your day. And I would interview people. Like I would go to their house and I would just like, tell me a little bit about it. And I was just so curious about, people's perspective and what they went through. And granted, a lot of them were Hispanic because that was, who I related to, and as I got older, that never left me, of just being curious about, other people's walks. And so, yeah, I mean, that's my long story about my my introduction to the melting pot.
Yeah, and so I kind of had the reverse experience. So I'm born and raised Abilenian. I was born on Dyess Air Force Base. My father was an airman that was stationed there. He was recruited into Edwards Air Force Base in California before being stationed here in Dyess. And so my experience growing up in Abilene was I was, for the majority of my time here, I was the only black kid in class. And I mean, it came with its perks because I was like always the fastest in the class. So I was breaking records and setting records and all that kind of stuff. I went to Johnston Elementary, which is now Purcell Elementary, and he was actually my coach then. But it
Hmm.
also came with the drawbacks of, hey, go back to Africa and spear chucker and all these things that like I didn't understand at that age because like I'm I was born here. I was born in Abilene. I was born on the base. Like I'm a military brat. My father served. So why would I be treated this way? But the culture shock for me really came when I moved to the Metroplex in about 91. I moved to um, South Arlington. I lived in South Arlington for a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
Went to Dunn Elementary. And from there, I went to Hutchinson Junior High or Hutchinson Middle School. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so when I went to that school, that was my first experience with black people and Crips and Bloods and Vietnamese and Indian people and Ethiopians. So it was that melting pot you were talking about. And it's
Hmm.
funny because on my journey, being the outsider, being new to the school and all that kind of stuff in middle school and high school, like my first friend was a gang member and he was with the Crips. And like, I'm good. I'm a leader, not a follower, but you're a cool dude, so I'll hang with you. And with that, sometimes I got caught up in that stupid mess that he was in. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm out. I'm not doing this. And then I moved to Louisiana for a little bit, Bossier City. And I went to a school out there called Green Acres Middle School. And it's off of Airline Drive. I remember it like it was yesterday. And once again, I'm the outsider. I'm from a completely different state and city in a new state and city. And my first friend was a blood. And I'm like, you a cool dude. You the only person that talks to me. I'ma hang with you. And the reverse happened to me. I had gang members that were Crips messing with me because I was hanging with him. And then eventually I moved back to Dallas, and I had a friend, we're still friends to this day. I've known him 13 since we were 13, 14 years old. I know him longer than I've known my own little brothers. And from that point on, that's when I started to develop and understand who I was as a person and my personality and my belief system. And moving back to Abilene with that, it made me appreciate my culture, my background, my ethnicity, and who I am. I even did Ancestry.com DNA test, DNA swab. You send it, and they send you all these your family tree and all that. And I found out that I come from a family at one point that I had 12 great great uncles and great great aunts, and 9 of them passed away. 9 of them died. A couple of them from murder. Some of them were in a house fire. Just all kinds of crazy things. And we're talking about the era of Jim Crow. After slave, what's I forgot what that period. That the beginning period was the 1900s, when the North was occupying the South. Dang, I can't think of it. If somebody's chatting, I'm sure somebody can tell me. But it was a time period where that life expectancy of being an African American in the United States wasn't that great. Whether it be oppression, racism, and all the things intertwined in that, made me realize how lucky I am to be here, because somehow my parents navigated, my parents' parents navigated, and my parents' parents' parents navigated, and so on, to be able to get around those things to the point where I can now exist today to do the things that I do for my community. So that for me is the reason why I say seeing someone, whether it's color, ethnicity, or culture, is important, because you don't know their legacy, you don't know their background, you don't know their bloodline, and what it took for that person to be here sitting and or standing or Zoom or chatting with you, and exist in this time period where all of us here, present day, we all started somewhere different, but now in our journey through life, we're all here. And I think it's just it's a very magical thing that I feel like we don't give enough credit when it comes to just simply existing in the skin that we're in.
And so I just got the note that it's time to do the in 3 minutes we're gonna do our community shout out. Uh, it's something new that I wanted to try. Uh, did we get anybody in the chat or anything like that? Nobody in the chat. But you said you had some people that had some events or grand
Yeah.
openings that maybe I'll let you go first, and I know a couple that I'll shout out.
First and foremost, shout out to my boy Mackenzie Davis with Culture Original. He's got his Culture Con coming up August 1st. It's going to be at the Abilene Convention Center from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's going to be mechanical bull rides, video games, entertainment, networking, vendors, food, giveaways. If you're a vendor, if you're selling something, you got food, T-shirts, services. If check out his Facebook page, he's got phone number, he's got contact information out there. If you're a parent and you need school supplies, he's going to be giving away backpacks. I think he's going to have school supplies in those backpacks as well. But yeah, like I said, first and foremost, wanted to shout out to Mackenzie Davis. That's a good young man right there doing the Lord's work in the community, in the city of Abilene, making sure people don't go without. Uh, I, Second up, To Engage is going to have a free school supply giveaway August 8th. I don't have the flyer in front of me and all the particulars that go with that, but go to Engage's page. I'm sure they're posting flyers and information. If they're not, feel free to reach out to them on Facebook or give to Engage a call. They're off of Sales Boulevard and South First over by Cash Savers. But like I said, they're doing a massive, huge school supply giveaway in partnership with AISD, with the Abilene Independent School District. So once again, if you're one of those parents and you wanted to focus and spend money on getting school clothes, but couldn't get the school supplies, that's two events. That's two events that's going to be handing out backpacks and school supplies, getting our kids ready in the community for that first day of school. I got a few more. You want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going, man. Keep going.
Cool.
And,
Let's see
and
what else I got
it's
here.
it's my friend's fault because I told them to hit the chat. So I'm gonna let you shout out all your people, and then I'll do my one.
Cool. I'll keep going. The Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce. I've been a board member with the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce for a decade now, 10 years. I was in my 30s when I started with the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce. But I've been with them for 10 years. We're going to have a quarterly meeting August 13th. We're still working on the particulars, which is going to be the venue, the time, but make sure if you want to be a part of that, if you're a small business owner, if you're a minority small business owner, if you're a black small business owner, make sure you go to the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce Facebook page, follow us. That's where our information for that quarterly meeting is going to be. Like I said, that's going to be August 13th. We're going to have our quarterly meeting. It's going to be networking. It's going to be finger foods, probably some door prizes, and it's free. You don't have to pay for nothing. You come in, hang out, get new connections. I'm big and huge on networking. I'd say to anyone that is interested in coming, bring you 10 to 15 business cards and you don't sit down and you don't leave until you trade off those 10 to 15 business cards for somebody else's business cards. That's how you know you've done some quality networking.
That's right.
So that's going to be August 13th. Follow us on the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce Facebook page for more information. And then I got a couple of honorable mentions. The Abilene Mambas, that is our local arena football team. I've had the pleasure and the opportunity to hang out with them. I hung out with them this past weekend out there at Trent ISD at the Gorilla Stadium. They were doing their practice, and it was a community event. They had snow cones out there. They had snakes out there. I had a whole python wrapped around my neck, which was pretty cool. There's some great kids out there. Some dudes our age out there still getting with them. So I was proud to see that as well. But Abilene Mamas, that's another Facebook page you want to check out for any scheduled events or upcoming games that they may have. You can follow them on you can follow them on Facebook page, and you can also follow them on TikTok. So you can follow the Abilene Mamas on TikTok. They're very active in making sure that they put fresh content out on both platforms. And then last but not least, my old homie, Manny and Candy up there at Retro World Arcade, a locally owned minority business, Hispanic owned arcade here in the city of Abilene. So if you're into supporting small businesses, if you're into supporting minority small businesses, go check out Retro World Arcade. They're always having swap meets. They're always having video game tournaments. They're always having giveaways, cosplay contests, you name it. You can probably find it at Retro World Arcade. And that's another one that you can follow out there on Facebook. And it's just Retro World Arcade on Facebook page. And that's all I got.
That's awesome, man. Now we love the people at Retro World Arcade. We've assisted them with a handful of their builds and helped them to promote, print posters and stuff to promote their different events, and went out there a couple of times, and they've been good customers of ours for, I guess they're going on maybe 5 years of being in business, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
That is correct. I when I first started getting into trying to create graphics and social media content for small businesses, they were one of the first ones that helped me develop my craft and evolve and become better. Kind of like a practice to kind of sharpen my skills. And I've worked with them pretty much the entirety of their 5 years. They started out over there on Butternut. They had the whole Donkey Kong painted theme on the building. They had some great events. They've brought voice actors and actresses here. They've had people from like Dragon Ball Z come out here. People from was it Blood In Blood Out movie. They brought. Yeah, they've done a good job of really breaking it up and bringing some people here to the city of Abilene that normally we probably wouldn't have or get or even think of, especially when it comes to minority communities and having that representation in front of us.
One of the funnest projects that I had with them is we were able to convert I guess it was a cooler, a can cooler, but it was shaped like a bottle, and so it was shaped like a Coca-Cola bottle, and they wanted it to be a Pepsi bottle, and so I was like, sure, I can do that. And then at that time, we helped them modify or do a variation of their logo to kind of have the old retro Pepsi look and feel. And we've done a lot of cool stuff like that with their events. It's like their logo, it still looks the same, but they'll change it up to kind of fit whatever theme that they're whatever they're promoting that particular time of year. And so I love it, man, because we're we get to kind of get creative and work with them in different stuff, so that's Retro World. And I guess since we're on the retro, I got some people that I want to go ahead and shout out. Old Ray Soto at Run It Back Classics. We're hoping to have him on the show here pretty soon. Leroy Santana with Private Reserves Detailing. They're actually putting together a backpack giveaway this coming Sunday, and they're gonna be partnering up with some of the local shops that are right there in their area. One of them being Bonifacio Perez with Premier Auto Customs, and of course them with Private Reserve. They're going to be handing out some I guess school supplies and some backpacks, and that's going to be this coming weekend as well. I'm not sure if our new friends with the not included car club are going to have any events, but they're usually doing some meetups and if they're not doing a car show, which we went to their car show this past weekend,
Saw that.
and
Yeah,
it was awesome, man. I'm
it
definitely
looked like it
I told
was.
yeah, I told them sign me up every year. We'll be back bigger and better next year, and so yeah, it was a good time. But I'm pretty sure that they're up to something, man. If you follow any one of those guys, with either private reserve or with not included, they always got something going on, and so those are my two shout outs. Everybody else, I'm shunning you because you were supposed to leave a message in the chat, and you know that I'm a sensitive person, and so I'm gonna hold a grudge for about 2.5 seconds, and then I'm gonna get over it, right?
I got I got one more shout out.
Okay.
So, and this is another shout out to the gaming community. Is if anybody knows me, I'm a huge gamer. I love video games. I love collecting them. I love playing them. So my last shout out would have to go to Paymore Abilene, which is owned and operated by Carl and Jennifer Case. I think it's located over there where I think it's at Wingstop over there, little China was out there. Used to be a Little Caesar. Is over there where that Starbucks used to be off of Buffalo Gap and Clack Street. I want to say uh, in that general area. But yeah, you can take old electronics there if you're wanting to sell old video game consoles. That's the place to go, and they sell it too. And every time I've gotten a lot of game systems where I got five Xboxes and three Sega Genesis and all kinds of other crazy stuff that I've become a hoarder over time and just collect it and I'm running out of room. Anytime I've ever called them and say, hey, come check this stuff out, give me a price, they've always been fair. They've always worked with me. Those are some really good people. I've had a lot of history with them. So Carl and Jennifer Case out there at Paymore Abilene. That's my last shout out.
No, that's cool because you just reminded me. I actually got me a new microphone. Can you see that? And uh,
Nice.
and I was trying to plug it in because I want to be fancy. I went over there. I've been using these right here for forever, and I'm like, I just want to try to get a little bit better and better every single time, and
Yeah.
so I had it in my mind that I was going to get me a different microphone, and so the folks over there at Fox Computers, they hooked me up, and so I'm looking for, hopefully by the next one I'll have it hooked up, and we'll see what the sound quality looks like,
Yeah.
and then maybe I'll get some lighting. Actually, one of the guys with not included, uh, they they are going to help us do like an intro to the show, and
Oh, nice.
so I might fall in love with that. I was like, man, all the lighting, and he's going to show me how to do this, and I was like, I might have to like pay you every now and then, uh, to make me look good, because right now we're just like I'm doing YouTube, and I'm like, okay, I could do this, and we'll buy this, and we're just trying to get better and better, so
Yeah. Well, this
yeah,
is I
we're having
started with
fun.
this one. This is my JLab microphone. It's
Uh-huh.
got single direction and omnidirectional. So singular direction is if it's just me. Omnidirectional is if I got multiple people in the room and I want to make sure I catch everybody on the mic. This is one that I've used for a very long time. JLab Audio does a lot of good quality stuff. But at the same time, for anybody listening, anybody watching, if you're trying to do content, if you want to do content, whether it's a podcast, reels, YouTube shorts, whatever it is, get started now. Don't wait. Don't wait till you get the right microphone. Don't wait till you get the right phone and the right PC and the right applications. Look, there's people that do low quality, low grade, looks like they recorded themselves with a potato. And those videos are the ones that end up going viral on all these platforms. So anybody that's listening and watching, man, don't wait for the perfect time. You got to
That's right.
start, and
That's
the
right.
more you do it, the better you get at it.
That's right. Yeah, and to me, it's kind of like so. I started a blog post at the beginning of the year, and it's called "Behind the X's and O's," and it's actually it started out behind the X's and O's of business, right? And it was like just stuff that goes on behind the scenes, conversations, emotions that business owners go through, and all of that stuff. And then, as I started doing that, I was realizing, especially when I did the first live show of Behind the X's and O's, I was like, it's this is bigger than just business owners, because everybody has a story, right? And I
Yes.
even have it back here, where it says every business has a story worth hearing, and
Hmm.
I'm going to change this to every person, and so now the new branding of this show is just simply Behind the X's and O's, and
Yeah.
so your Behind the X's and O's are going to be different than mine, and
Yeah.
whenever I'm talking to my church folks, I tell them, I said, basically what it is, it's your testimony,
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to get as many people as I can to be willing to share their testimony, because
Yeah.
you don't know who might be, either tuning in or scrolling through, and your testimony might be the thing that they needed to hear at that particular time. You just never know, and so that's what has me kind of interested and motivated to fill up my calendar. I'm booked all the way to the end of August, and
Good.
we're going to start going into September, and it's just kind of like I'm having fun with it, and it's just one of those things where it's like I love hearing people's background, their stories, maybe some of the challenges that they face and how they work through them, and what it means to be that particular person. It's for
Well,
example, go ahead,
yeah,
go
I
ahead,
would like to give my testimony if you don't mind.
do it.
So, for me, to where I'm at present day, took a lot of work and a lot of discipline for me to get here. It wasn't easy. The way I navigate and move through the world to others, it may look like it was, but it's only because I had full faith in God that He was molding me and shaping me into the man that He needed me to be before He could bestow upon me the blessings that He already had, that's already been written for me. And, for someone that has the opportunity to be a development manager for a nationally and internationally known a nonprofit agency is absolutely a blessing. And it's been wonderful and a fantastic opportunity to be on such a broader stage here in our community and also outside of our community. A lot of one of our commanding officers, our Corps Sergeant Major, and one of our advisory board members just returned back from the Texas Hill Country, uh, um, promoting the shield and being the hands and the feet on the ground for a lot of those that were facing, you know, just nasty, just ugly disasters down there. The flooding, the rain, the tornadoes in San Antonio. And they went down there, they answered the call, and went out there with full faith and happiness to be able to serve our fellow Texans, but just humans in general. And it's an amazing experience to be able to work with men and women behind the shield at the Salvation Army that really sacrifice and are very humble about their commitment to supporting and helping anyone, whether it's in our community and outside of our community. And I say that because in my late 20s to early 30s was a very hard time for me. In 2000, 2009, 2010, I actually got convicted and I got a felony for felony theft. I used to be a store manager of Journey Shores, a shoe store. And I'm putting that out there now, so I'll probably never be able to apply for a part-time job or anything with Journeys now. But, you know, I was an addict. My drug of choice was painkillers, hydrocodones, Dilaudid, Vicodin, Oxycontin, morphine, you name it. I was like Pac-Man. I was popping them all. I was taking them all. And I was getting them from my mother because she was suffering from issues with lupus and renal failure. So her kidneys were failing. And this woman was like every bit of 105 pounds and was on, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 different pain meds. And I was helping myself to a lot of those. And I was a drug addict for about 10 or 11 years of my life, my 20s. My 20s were pretty much washed because that's what I chose to do with it. And like I said, on top of that, I was convicted of a felony in 2010. It wasn't until 2017 when I got off of probation that I was able to start putting the bricks together to build the foundation of my life and where I wanted to go. And so I came back here to Abilene at that time to kind of reestablish myself, reinvent myself, and what I wanted to do for the community. It's funny because of my time on probation actually developed I developed a healthy appetite for volunteering because I wanted to instead of because it was court ordered. But it's funny because one of the places that I volunteered for probation was the Salvation Army, and that was like 2000 probably 13 or 14 when I got here. So I find it funny that it's gone full circle, and I now work for the Salvation Army. But those life opportunities, I look back and I say now, especially what I've done in the nonprofit world with Goodwill West Texas and now the Salvation Army. I look at that time with my being justice impacted and being a former addict, which I want to say 14 years clean, which is fantastic. This is the best shape I've ever been in my life at 46. I say now that all of that was just research. I was just doing ground zero research for the people that I was going to be in a position to help later on in life with my words of encouragement, with the skills and experience that I've had navigating the justice system and navigating being a drug addict in that time. And, life is poetic, life is wonderful. And one thing I've learned is when your name is in that book of life and God has already written your story, there is little to nothing that anybody can do or say that can change that. What what I've been ordained to do and what has been put on my vessel and my soul and my life to do with my ever waking breath that I take is to make sure that I fix more than what I break in this world before I leave. And that's an honor and something that I take very seriously. I take that very seriously because there's other people that didn't make it that have gone through similar things that I've gone through, worse things that I've gone through, lesser things that I've gone through, and they're not here to tell the story, but I am. And that's something that I take to heart. And anytime I have the opportunity to give my testimony and let people know, I wake up, I feel like I'm creating history every time I get outside and I go do something. You got an African American felon and don't even have a college degree of any kind, but I'm here working and I'm here making a change and being recognized by the community, such as people yourselves, lets me know that I'm doing God's work. I'm helping him build his kingdom, and that's where my reward is in heaven. But at the same time, it's great to be appreciated and given flowers and recognition in that time to know that what you're doing with your life is important and people appreciate that.
Absolutely. And it's a thing to where uh the what people are called to do, it's going to vary just as much as uh you can pick anything to where we're all different, right? and um and so I found out that I'm not necessarily called to be a pastor, right? And I told this one friend jokingly, it's like on his post, I was like, I really don't have great advice. I have four things that I would tell you. Trust God. Take it to God, trust God, rub some dirt on it, and maybe make better choices. That's
Yep.
that's usually my go-to, right? And so whenever I tried ministry, when I tried to minister to people, it was usually like, all right, well, have you tried not making mistakes? Like don't make the same mistake, learn from the mistakes,
Mhm.
and have you prayed about it, and are you trusting God? Where are you in that process, right? And
Mhm.
but that there are people that are maybe their calling is to prop people up who can minister to people. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I remember one time having a dream. It was just kind of a weird dream. Whenever I was in ministry, and so like the way that I pictured myself was uh, like a like a literal bridge, you know,
Yeah.
like a like a bridge was coming out of me. You know what I mean? And like the bridge is going in different places. It was connecting, different people, and and it was weird for me because I was like, I feel like I'm called to be a bridge. I'm not called to be a pastor. I don't really, consider myself a prophet or, not necessarily a teacher. I can do a lot of those things if I've done a lot of those things. Not pastor, but I've actually preached a sermon and I've taught Sunday school and I've mentored men with the men's ministry and things like that.
Hmm.
So I can kind of step in and step out, but I really always seem to kind of go back to connecting to people and connecting people to other people.
Yeah.
It's always been something that has been a common thread throughout my life. It's like, if someone's looking for a job, I knew someone who was hiring. If someone's trying to sell a car, I knew someone who was buying a car,
Yeah.
and those kind of things. And I still do that even though I don't get paid for it. If I see somebody that has a business, I'm sharing their stuff so that other people who might need their services, can have that information. And if I notice that somebody's looking for that service, I'll tag them. And I've been fortunate that people do that for me. It's like, a lot of our friends are great referral sources for us because when they see somebody posting that they need one of our services, they'll either tag me or they'll tag our business. But it always seems like life always seems to lead me back to that connection with people, right? And so I'm wondering if whenever you were volunteering for the Salvation Army, if our paths didn't cross, you know what I mean? And then like we might have crossed each other but didn't get close enough to each other to meet. And because around that time is whenever I was actively doing stuff out in the community. You're a member of the Black Chamber of Commerce. I was a member of both the Chamber of Commerce, but then also the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And so we used to do a lot of the events, my wife and I, and and then of course with ministry, we were doing a lot of the stuff back whenever we were a little bit younger.
Hmm.
And but it's like it's always a cool thing to be able to connect with people, and sometimes you have long lasting relationships,
Yeah.
uh,
And and
through these
and something
connections.
I Yeah, and something I want to say to speak to what you were saying just a minute ago. It's important that we always remember that Moses had Aaron.
Hmm.
Moses had
Oh,
someone to speak for him.
yeah,
And so with that we have to understand that we need architects as much as we need people in the buildings to run whatever that business is supposed to be. So
that's right.
people like you and I, we're architects. We're a connective tissue. We connect people, we plug people in, we find resources, and we try to change the trajectory of people if they so desire to have that change in their lives. And that's just as equally as important as any and everyone that can get up behind a podium or in front of a microphone or whatever the case may be is and talk. The people that build and connect behind the scenes are just as important as well because Moses was an architect. We don't remember Aaron unless we get into or know of Aaron until we get into the book, and then we understand that Moses didn't have that level of confidence to speak, so he preferred to have his own brother do the speaking for him. But those words, in fact, still came from the architect, which was Moses, which was his divine connection to the Lord himself. So, it's we just want to make sure that just because we're not on TV or on social media or just in front of people's faces all the time, that the position that we hold in God's favor is just as equally as important as the next man.
Absolutely. One of my favorite stories you brought up Moses and Aaron, and then her, right? So is in the battle. I don't know the name of the battle, but I know that Joshua was out, maybe fighting the Amalekites, maybe, and is one of the ites. And so Moses was on top of the hill and he was praying. And whenever his hands were up, Joshua was winning, right? Joshua and their army was winning. The armies of
Yeah.
the Lord were winning. But whenever Moses' hands went down, they started getting their butts kicked, right? And so Aaron and her, they like, okay, they I guess they recognize it, right? They said we need to keep this man's hands up because we need to win this battle so that way we could go home and get some food or whatever, you know. And
Yeah.
so they both held Moses' hands up, one holding the left and one holding the right. And while as
Mhm.
long as they were there to support him to have his hands up, Joshua was down there doing his thing, and they ended up winning the battle, right? And so Moses could not have done it by himself. And so
Mhm.
I wonder what would have happened if only one of Moses's hands were up and not the other, like the rider. It just really blows your mind. Like, if both of them weren't there and didn't recognize that they are part of this too. Maybe you're
Mhm.
not the one that's out there on the battlefield, and maybe you're not the one who has the anointing to where your hands are lifted up and things happen, but you might be the one that is holding the arms up, right?
Yeah.
And another story, like while we're on it, is whenever Elisha, before he took on the mantle from Elijah, he was washing his hands. He was making sure his hands weren't on fire, right?
Yeah.
And so he was
Mhm.
serving him right before he actually took over that role or that ministry, if you want to call it, right? And so there was some serving that needed to be done before his time came. And I always looked at those stories, and one of the biggest ones that to where that stood out as far as Elijah and Elisha was whenever they were surrounded by the army of the enemies, and and so Elisha goes to Elijah. He's like, "We're surrounded by the enemy," and then Elijah told him, he says, he prays for his eyes
Mhm.
instead of praying for God to destroy the enemy, because he says, God help his eyes so that
Mhm.
he can see that your army is surrounding the army that's surrounding us. And,
Yeah.
and so that's where that song comes from. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm actually surrounded by God. And
Yeah.
so those two illustrations, the one about Moses and the one about Elijah, kind of helps shape my perspective when it comes to serving, because I know I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's going to be people that their anointing, I need to recognize their anointing and don't
Mhm.
try to let my ego get in the way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If I come
Absolutely.
across somebody and I can recognize through discernment, I can recognize someone that is doing God's work and they've been called to do that, I don't need to have the spotlight. I could be Aaron and her holding up the hands or something, or I can be the one washing the hands, or praying for the eyes, so that way, the vision that God has for that particular organization or person or family can be seen. And you got me preaching, man. You should have never brought up Moses, man. I'm like,
It's good, man. It's good. It's just a testament that we may be the same, but our roles will be forever changing.
that's right,
That's,
that's right.
that's what it gets down to.
That's right. So I wanted to as we close, I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about just your experience. You said that you've been with the Black Chamber of Commerce,
Yeah.
for 10 years, right? What has been like in your perspective from the time that you started to now? How has the Chamber of Commerce kind of been that bridge in the community from your perspective?
So it in those 10 years, it's come with a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows. People coming on, people leaving before we can execute certain things. But for me, I have to say some of the highlights that I feel like the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce has brought into the community would be first and foremost the West Texas Business Navigator Grant, which was a grant worth millions of dollars that was brought into the city of Abilene. It was a spoken hub program where the Abilene Chamber of Commerce was the hub and the spokes were the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce, Cisco College, Economical Development Council, the SBDC here locally. There was a lot of agencies and organizations involved, and that brought forth a lot of I would say classes and resources and things that small business owners and also minority small business owners need to be successful in the city of Abilene. So I would say that would definitely be one of the most outstanding things that we as a chamber, a Black chamber, have done for the city of Abilene. Shouts out to Demetrius Earthley. He was a key instrument in us getting that grant here in the city of Abilene. But also just, our dedication to putting on the MLK banquet every year. It doesn't matter rain or snow or ice or sun. That MLK event has happened every January of every year that I know of since I've been a board member. And I think that consistency is something that's important to show the community and let them know that we are here and we plan on being here. And also, just honorable mention: our Juneteenth celebrations have come along. They have come a long way. We've crossed a bridge, which plays into the show with
My producer's
the non.
sleeping.
Oh no!
No, she's supposed to be the sound effects.
Oh, but we've been able to build that bridge with another nonprofit agency called Let Us Breathe,
Mm-hmm.
Shantae Fleming, and so
Yep.
we were able to come alongside them and help with our business and health expo for their Juneteenth celebratories that they had down at Stevenson Park and at the Woodson School of Center for Excellence. So there's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of evolution. We still got a lot of work to do, as any commerce, any agency, any nonprofit does, because that question is, and always will be, what as a small business, what can you do for me? If I'm paying you money, what do I get out of that money that I'm paying into you? I need to see it. I need to see the fruit of what I'm paying into. And so that's something that the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce has been developing and creating a formula for, so that our supporters, our members, and our board members all have the confidence that is the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. Well, I want to just say this publicly, and I've never really like said anything like this, but if you guys need anything like banners to help any events that you do like that, just let me know. We'd be happy
Yeah.
to sponsor a banner. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Just let
Yes,
us
sir.
know. You can count on us for that type of deal. And we tell as many people as we can do that, but I don't think that I've ever done that to any of the chamber of commerces here.
Okay.
And
Well, we
so
appreciate it.
I just wanted to kind of say that. And number one, it's because of you, right? The relationship that you and I have uh, have developed, right? And
Yeah.
that's usually where it starts. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so everybody has their, I guess their areas or their cliques or whatever you want to call it. They're the people that they're more comfortable like being around, and it doesn't necessarily make them bad, but every now and then you get someone that comes into your life that is able to see you for who you are, and
Mhm.
then it opens you up to a different like just a different world almost,
Yeah.
and so I look at it like that. Like even though I may have been part of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce before, and the Chamber of Commerce before, I value individual relationships and not
Yes.
necessarily the organization, right?
Hmm.
And so because of that, because of you, I wanted to, just on behalf of our company, Red Alpha, if you guys ever need any banners, just let me know ahead of time, and then we'll do the best that we can to support you guys in that way.
Yeah. Well, we absolutely appreciate that gesture, and trust me, we will utilize that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I wouldn't say it if we wouldn't do it, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you so.
Well, Andre, I'm not sure if we hit all the topics. I'm not sure if we like elaborated the need, to build bridges here in our community enough.
Mhm.
But I hope that at least we scratched the surface and maybe planted some seeds to, to anybody who might be viewing. I know you definitely planted some seeds in me, and I hope I planted some seeds in you that will bear fruit here in the near future. And man, I just want to thank you for taking the time to be one of our guests. Anytime that you want to do this, if you want to talk about anything, just let me know. It doesn't have to be about the Salvation Army or the Black Chamber of Commerce. It could be about anything. Just give me a heads up so that I can do some research because I'm not a gamer or anything like that. But I promise you, if you give me enough time, I'll be able to carry a conversation.
That sounds amazing, man, and I appreciate you having me out again. It's been a pleasure, and anytime I get a chance to run my mouth, and my girl is doesn't have to listen to me, I'm sure it's greatly appreciated. So
Right.
I appreciate the opportunity to come out on here on this platform and give my testimony and be a part of you guys' program.
Right. And so before I let you leave, if anybody wants to get connected with you on social media, what are your social media channels that they can find you in?
So if you're a small business and you want free promotion, and I said free, no strings attached, please reach out to me, Abilene Talk on TikTok. It's the word Abilene and TOK at the end of it. Abilene Talk. More than likely, some of y'all are probably already following me, but didn't
Yeah.
realize it was me. But I'm letting you know right now, just like this man has extended this gracious gesture of working with the Abilene Black Chamber of Commerce, because that's what we do here in the city of Abilene. We support, we help each other out. That's what we do. I'm the same way. Any small business out there, if you're looking for promotion, whether you've just started or you've been in the game for a while, free TikTok, holler at me. Like I said, Abilene Talk. My email is abilenetalk325 at gmail.com. If you feel more comfortable with just reaching out to me via email. If you want to come alongside the Salvation Army and do anything as far as being a bell ringer for our Red Kettle campaign, or for Angel Tree, because kiddos always need Christmas gifts, or for our upcoming Christmas kickoff, that's going to be November 5th at Potosi Live, and you want to be a sponsor or you want to give us an auction item, you can email me at andre.gwinn, Gwinn, at uss.salvationarmy.org. Yeah, that's a long one. So, uh, or just reach out to me on Facebook, Andre Gwinn Sr. on Facebook. I'll respond the same. So
Yeah,
just give me
yeah.
a holler.
All right, Andre. Well, man, I appreciate your time. Go and have yourself a good rest of your evening. I'm sure we're going to be messaging each other here over the next couple of days. I'll
Yes,
download all
sir.
these and send them to you so that way you can chop it up and send it on your socials as well.
Cool.
But until the next time, man, thank you for being a guest. Uh, that's all for now. That's all, folks.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So, man, that was a good conversation that I had with Mr. Gwinn. Andre, we were connected to. I think it was the folks at Retro World is how we kind of connected, and then my friend who passed away, Jim Chicon, had him on his podcast, and that's how I connected with Andre. And ever since we've been, I found out that he was with the Salvation Army, and then we just kind of been friends ever since, and he's doing good work out there, and they come to us for some of their print items, and they've invited us to some of their events, and we've sponsored some of them, and it's just been a good thing. So that is really the purpose of the Behind the X's and O's, is to have conversations with people in our community that are doing things. It's like everybody has a story, and sometimes they just don't have the platform to tell their story or their testimony. But we're trying to line up or fill up our calendar with people just like me and just like you, who have a story and want to share it with people who might want to listen. But that's all for now. I'm signing off. This is Ruben Escalona with another episode of Behind the X's and O. See you on the next time.